Hello, my name is Michael Berger, and I have an associate's degree in mechanical engineering and a bachelor's degree in digital science. I have a certificate in AutoCAD and cybersecurity. I worked as a student IT assistant at the University of Akron, a math tutor at Stark State College, SMT operator at Airborne Electronics, and as a student team leader at Kent State University in the Federated Desktop Support Department.
And my name is Gregory Hess. I have a bachelor's degree in digital sciences from Kent State University. I have a Test-Out Security Pro certification, as well as numerous certifications through LinkedIn courses. I've held numerous IT positions in end-user support across Kent State, Beechwood Systems, and Northeast Ohio, and in my local area, in local town of Northeast Ohio, as I reside. And I'm en route to a rotational in Brooklyn, Ohio, this coming summer. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the TechIT podcast. It is September 11th of 2022, and we have a special one for you today on a coverage of security cameras, both for whatever your needs are for them, as well as covering stories related to them in the wide world that is technology news that the news avoids because of their ability to just not give into it. I'm your host Gregory, and here again with my friend Mike here to talk about this, as well as other stories that we find and put out to you, the audience, and our fellow viewers out there, be it on our platforms of SoundCloud, Buzzsprout, YouTube, or even our tools that you can use to help us, such as our Patreon, which we'll give you more details about later. But for now, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Greg. What have you been up to this week? Anything fun?
I've been good. I went to a concert in the downtown Playhouse Square here in Ohio. It was a Frankie Valli concert, so even though I'm in my 20s, I got something out of it because I'm in a friend group that listens to stuff from the 60s. So it was chill, and the guy could still sing at 88 years old. So there are moments where like I feel like I can't even go up the steps multiple times a day sometimes. And this guy can like sing and he's 88 and like all that jazz. That's not a pun. He doesn't do jazz. But yeah, I've been good. Otherwise, how have you been, Mike? Like anything going down in the good old Florida?
Um, well, if there has been, I haven't been able to witness it as I've been working 6 days a week right now. I was contracted to set up a bunch of technology for a shipping company called Queen
Yeah.
Ship down here in Florida. And I've been doing that mostly, and we got like all the printers and security stuff set up. Um, I was in charge of security cameras for this, so I'll be able to give you guys some pointers for setting up your security cameras. Um, so I have some hands-on experience in that, and I'll let you guys know what security camera I used for this, or what solutions for the business, the small business side of things, and what company we went through and why. But other than that, it's just been really rainy down here.
We're about to get it. The rain itself, I think, before like today's over. But what isn't over as always is the strive for security. And like I said at the top of the show, we are covering security cameras. So let's jump right into it. Much like all those fall girls are jumping into pumpkin spice related beverages and foods, and it's not even October yet. So here at safewise.com, I have a site of top 10 best wireless security cameras of this year. Now, they have, I don't know, I don't have these like in my own house personally, even though I kind of should. With the growing scrutiny that is everyone's starting to get kind of worried about now that everything's kind of back to normalcy, that everyone's more enabled to like go outside and do things for good or ill means. So just looking at this on paper on this safewise.com website, the price ranges start at like vaguely just under $36 up to about 200 for like this outdoor camera, the Arlo Pro 4. But while they on the surface look essentially the same, and they have the same sort of similar models apart from video visualization and cloud storage and type. What are your thoughts on the pics here, Mike?
Well, I did watch the video they have on there about the like a little. They did a little review, and some of the cameras seem to have different features that I'm interested in. And I think it's really about like what are you doing with this camera? Is this like kind of like your baby monitor, like your monitor for your home, just to keep an eye on your kids, or is this like a security thing for you? Like, are you trying to protect your home from intrusion? Like, for example, like if say I had like a safe or something that I was trying to protect with these cameras, I would probably uh, want to have multi-layer storage and like different a lot of different solutions for how I'm storing this, how I'm powering this device. Um, do I want night vision? I think if I'm protecting like a safe or something, I want night vision on there. I want it to pick up audio, but
Ocean
it
zones?
doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, and also, do you want it to be indoor, out or outdoor? Um,
Hmm.
I think if you go with an outdoor camera, you can still put those inside. It's not restrictive that way. But if you go with an indoor camera, you
Hmm.
don't want to put that outside because it probably won't be waterproof or anything like that. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I think different cameras are great for different solutions. For example, like there's one camera that has two. I think it was it one or two cameras on that list that has two-way audio to where like you can hear them and you can speak through it, right?
Yeah, like more commercial names that have this would be like the Ring cameras, which we covered recently in another episode about how they're starting to come under fire because people are surprised that they send data to the police without letting you know. But there are ways like in that slant like shim tattoo bit of it that in a way that's kind of, I don't know, kind of beneficial if you're looking to just stop a robbery at your house while you're like 2,000 miles away in like another country, for instance, as well as like having things such as what this Wise Cam V3 has, which comes at just $36, where it has a built-in siren as well as high frame rate just for outdoor capabilities, because you don't want one of those like CC cameras at a bank where they can't even do 30 frames per second in 2022. You know.
Yeah, so I think we have to look at, for example, if I'm protecting a safe, I want my camera on the door. I want a camera on the safe. I want
Mhm.
um I want it to have
Camera for the room.
I haven't wanted to yeah, I want it to have battery yeah, so I want it to have battery power and I want it to have wired power because if they cut the power, like let's say there's a power outage and that's just an opportunity attack. So you want to have backup power, maybe multiple layers of solutions there. You want to have multiple forms of storage. So you can, for example, you can have there's some cameras that have SD cards where you can put the SD card in the camera and it records it to the SD card. Then there's the box solution where you have it sent via hardwire to a box and it just records it on the box, and then you can pull up the data via the box, whatever it's connected to, usually a PC. And then there's
Mhm.
by service where it's hooked up to the internet, either hardware or Wi-Fi, like so either landline or Wi-Fi, and it's sent to that service, and they store and that data for you usually, and it's usually password protected. Um, so depending on what you're doing, you want to have multiple layers of service, and I think especially if you're protecting something valuable, probably add more and more layers. And I think another thing you want to look at is price point. Is the thing you're protecting uh, how much is that worth? And are you spending more on security than the item? So I think that's another pathway, another thing to think about when you're protecting
Mhm.
things with cameras or security systems.
Exactly. So we encourage you, viewers and listeners out there, be it wherever you are, to engage with this site in case you're in the mood to pick up a camera in this uh, on this site that is safewise.com, as no camera is perfect, as some come with a lot of cons, such as price, just in general, like over $150 some of these are, including the Google Nest at 180. Some have no weatherproofing, some have vulnerabilities such as being only having to have facial recognition, but it's part of a paid subscription. Some are only 2K, which is kind of outdated compared to everything now being pushed towards 4 and 8K definition. So if you want like the best camera to last at your house, maybe you shouldn't get the 2K, but also you have to weigh in costs as well.
And it's
So
also like also what are you using this camera for? If you're using this camera for we talked about the
no
safe
doubt,
option, but let's say you're using this as a baby monitor or um like just to keep an eye
hopefully
on the
like your
kids,
work
make sure they got home from school safely, you know?
or just something as simple as a backdoor camera.
Right. So
Like my parents are looking for that.
let's say you want to put a camera in your kitchen just to make sure the kids get home safely and are getting their snacks out of the fridge or whatever. What kind of
Yeah.
features do you think would be beneficial for that solution, Greg?
Well, like two-way audio,
Agreed. Agreed.
motion zones. I don't know how motion zones work, but I'm pretty sure it's like within like a radius of the camera,
Yeah, so it's as soon
like
as it picks up movement, it'll
peripheral.
send a notification to your phone. That way, you can look at your app or whatever, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's your kids getting their lunch or getting their dinner or getting their after school snack um ready for the ready for homework study or whatever, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, just get them like on routine and not like just like sit at home watching. I don't know what I don't know what kids watch nowadays. Uh, We Bear Bears or Stranger Things. One of those. Ugh,
but then you also have the solution for pets. Let's say you want to put a camera just on whatever room you put your pet in when you
yeah,
leave.
multi-purpose for multi-users.
Yeah, so
Again, it could be for pets.
for your maybe you want to keep an eye on your dog or cat, make sure they're behaving. I think some people would be open to two-way audio for that, just to kind of like be able to like, oh, maybe you don't want your dog on the couch, even when you're not home. You can just like off the couch, you know. Um, so yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
there's a lot of potential there for for your home solutions. But let's talk about the business world, Greg. Let's get deeper into a small business and our large businesses.
Yeah.
What kind
So
of solutions do you think we should focus on for them?
uh, that's why I wonder where the camera system like spectrum's going, because I've said this. I'm not sure if I said this on a podcast, but I think everyone's moving towards excuse
Subscriptions.
me, a subscription pay based model,
Mhm.
which it's easier to track compared to like just paying a flat fee. So with that in mind, I see a lot of small and even bigger businesses go with a subscription based payment as a as a direction to go regarding security. or for many different facets alongside security. But for just sake of the topic of today, the security part would be subscription based, and that's why I wouldn't be surprised if like a small business, like I don't know, in a strip mall in like your local town, be it in Ohio, Florida, Belgium, Montana, Hawaii, whatever,
Okay,
they would favor subscription model
so
rather than flat.
for like a bigger business, I think you definitely want to, especially if you have some high end equipment. I think you want to secure that equipment with not just you don't want to. I wouldn't say Wi-Fi cameras are a bad idea, um, but I would say that you don't want to just 100% rely on Wi-Fi to secure.
Uh-huh. Especially when you're like in a rural environment where power could go out and then you suddenly have no security for your establishment.
Right. So
So
if let's say I would look into cameras that have multiple solutions for storage, multiple solutions for power. So
power.
you could do batteries and you could do hardwire and then you could do storage like on cam, you could do storage in the box is what I would do. And I would also do entrances. Um, I would do well let's just say for example it's a warehouse. I would probably
Hmm.
put cameras just on every aisle for that one.
Uh-huh.
To secure it, just to keep on an eye on every aisle, and then on entrances on as well. Um,
Look at productivity if you're like a supervisor specialist person,
and don't forget your
as well as
offices,
like
because I'm assuming
manager.
there's some offices for your warehouse as well.
Yeah, it's like the areas of like payment, HR,
Yeah, and those
PR,
are especially
um,
important. Just
corporate.
you don't want your customers' information getting or you don't want it at risk. So yeah, definitely you want to keep those secure with security cameras as well.
No doubt. And moving into realms from small to medium-sized businesses to countries.
Actually, do you mind if I go into small businesses real quick and talk about the security cameras
Yeah, yeah, sure.
that
What would
I
your take would be with that?
so what the company I'm working with right now uh what we went through we went Septicon, that's the security camera company we went through. We went with a secure outdoor security camera, and we went with a wireless uh solution here. Mostly
Hmm.
because it's a very small business and they don't want to spend more on security using or camera security than they're what they're trying to secure. Um, so yeah, so they said they wanted to go with a Wi-Fi solution. So we got two Wi-Fi security cameras, one for the front entrance, and it kind of keeps an eye on the whole shop from so they can see the whole shop and the front door, and then we got one for the back door in the like kind of like the back office. And it's 1080p, dual antennas, and it's got night vision. It's got AI motion detection.
Bravo 6,
Yeah,
going dark.
it's got two-way audio. It's IP66 waterproof.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's called the P30. If you guys are interested, and the big selling point for us was there's a lot of cameras that were Wi-Fi around the same. It's like I want to say like between 20 to like $50, and they were all Wi-Fi cameras that had similar specs. Um, so one thing that really sold it for us was the wall power, the SD card slot, and the the low price of $22.99 is why we went this solution. Um, and as far as setup goes, it's your normal wall mount, and it comes with like four screws and some drywall, like those little plastic things you can put in the drywall to keep them from like keep them secure. I think they're like called drywall mounts or something. And yeah, it's pretty easy. You just kind of turn the camera to where you're pointing, and you can like turn the mount to like lock it in place, and then it's battery power, or it's not battery power. It's wire. It's a hard wire, so you just plug it right into the wall.
With activated ports. Make sure those ports are activated as well.
Yeah, make sure you're. Yeah, so it's your standard. It's your standard power cable. So there's like you can plug it right into any outlet. Um, it works on 2.4 G Wi-Fi. The only complaints I had was it was a little bit difficult to get set up. It took a couple tries. Um, it went through like at first it tried to, so you waited for the flash and like you do with like your Bluetooth devices, and then you pulled up a QR code on your phone, and you have the camera read the QR code. And that was where the biggest problem was. It was just not picking up the QR code on your phone. Luckily, the app offered multiple solutions for you to connect your cameras to your device, and I got it working by there was a QR code on the camera that was specific to the camera, and you scan the QR code that way, and then it connected to the Wi-Fi via that. And then it had one other option if all else failed to do a hardwired connection. So um, I was
There's
glad
multiple usability with that.
yeah, I was glad they included all that um, for connectivity purposes. And the app is pretty easy to use. And one other complaint I have is um, it seems that there is some lag. So there's always going to be a little bit of lag from viewing to like when you first open up the camera, it's right on point. Like it's live feed, but then as time goes on, it starts to like backdate. Like you start to see like it'll be like 12:30 and it will be like at 12:27 on the camera. So you do have to like reconnect or like just hit the refresh button and
Yeah.
get a new live feed. So it's not a big deal. So as long as you just keep refreshing it, you're good. And I'm still looking into solutions to share to the owner so that he can get his own account and look at the cameras via his phone as well. Because so they have like family plans where you can like like this family member can see this camera, so everyone can create their own account and be like give them access individually to each camera, which is nice. I can't think of any ideas why it's just the camera and not like all the cameras. But maybe we'll think of something later why they do it that way instead of just being like, oh, you have access to all the cameras in this account. But yeah, that was the security cameras I set up for my business. We also set up a key code door handle, and that's about the big. Those are the two big security solutions we implemented for that business so far, and I'll keep you guys posted if we do more things. Greg, you said you were talking about another country and their cameras, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a different scope from small to small, medium, big businesses to well, I'll put it as what this threatpost.com website puts it as. Cyber criminals are selling access to Chinese surveillance cameras, so it has some kind of technical legalese in it, so I'll try to make it brief. But there is new research that indicates that over 80,000 HIK vision surveillance cameras in the world today are vulnerable to an 11-month-old command injection flaw. And it's a not to impose, but again, it's a Chinese state-owned manufacturer of video surveillance equipment that this company is connected to. And the customers span over 100 countries, including us, which even though it was the FCC that was 3 years ago labeling Hikvision as I spelled out earlier as an unacceptable risk to U.S. national security. The exploit itself has been given a 9.8 out of 10 by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is that's pretty big. Like it's not like those like all those like quirky Marvel movies where it's like, oh, it's 9 out of 10, it's pretty good. Like this is a bad 9 out of 10 label, but yeah, it's nothing new in my presence because I subscribe to digital security news, but it's the threat of IoT devices where everything's kind of left standard, and when the updates are not automatic, then cyber criminals will have their fun with it the same way that little kids have when you just leave a sandbox and a bunch of candy out on the table. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
So,
Always
you know,
change your default passwords. It's a big issue. Um, when you
because
especially when you
it's
get to new
easier.
devices, just do it right away because you'll forget to do it later.
Yeah, because as much as a deterrent is for everyone, like still nowadays with like, I hate having to set up accounts and stuff and change things. Like it's worth it.
Right.
Trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah, it feels like everything
Or
has a password nowadays.
like everything needs an account, everything needs a password. I don't know why I make that voice for them, but why is it like this? Because it's usually guys that complain to me about this. Um, Not to juxtapose that women and other people don't, but it was as senior director of threat intelligence at Cybery puts it. The Hikvision cameras have been vulnerable for many reasons, and for a good while because there is no good way to perform forensics or verify that an attacker's been excised into this product. Furthermore, we have not observed any change in Hikvision's posture to signal an increase in security within their development cycle, which that is a warning sign when like a security company that makes security products is saying, "No, it's all good. We're not increasing what we have to." But like you said, Mike, the default nature of these devices where people just go, "Oh, it's easy. I'll just plug it in and that's it." It's it leaves a wide open window for people, like when you leave a bunch of dogs out in your backyard and you leave the gate open in the back. They're just gonna have at it with what you leave open with them. So the problem that can be certainly be compounded with laziness, as this other individual named Bischoff puts it in this article. It's by the fact that Hikvision cameras come with one of few predetermined passwords out the box, and many users don't change these default passwords. So again, please change your default passwords if you buy something, especially internet related or security related in general. Even if it's something as simple as a dot camera that we one of those cameras we mentioned in the first piece. But staying on the topic of uh, security cameras and criminals, let's talk about jammers. This is a local story from WXYZ Detroit. So this is a first for us because I don't think we've ever covered a local news piece. But can you give me the rundown on this, Mike?
So,
On what jamming is
what jamming is. So,
first.
jamming is basically using a bunch of waves to block out like cell signals and Wi-Fi signals. It kind of just like blurs everything where you can't like get the correct information. Um, it's kind of an older ideal. It's been around for a while, but as technology gets cheaper and easier to use, we're going to see more and more of it. So I know that I personally have used or set up Wi-Fi cameras for my business, but that's what they were willing to pay for a solution. So that's what we did. Um, but if you're really trying to protect something that's really important to you, whether it's either really valuable or has a lot of sentimental value, I recommend not going with a Wi-Fi solution just because it's so vulnerable.
Hmm.
It's just a lot easier to block uh, Wi-Fi and just anything in the air, any airwaves, as opposed to a hard wire. It's a lot easier to block that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the industry is pushing for wireless technology in general, which I get the stance on that, trying to get rid of all the wires that creates less waste, but also when you have stuff as simple as even just leaving your Bluetooth open, that leaves the door open for Bluetooth sniffing attacks. And those can get pretty advanced, even though on the surface it looks like it's nothing, but just remember to turn off your Bluetooth when you're not using it. It can also save some battery also, but yeah, the owner of this body called TechIT Gurus, Chris Burns, kind of echoed what you said about Wi-Fi being easily disrupted, preventing the camera from capturing it on your house, as the story puts it on this local website, with how a woman in Detroit's camera malfunctioned for a few hours with non covered footage because her Ring camera didn't capture the moment a car was stolen in front of her house. And this was due to the tech savvy nature, as this piece puts it, where the wireless signal was easily to jam and block. And these jamming devices, again, don't even have to be big. Like uh, a D author, D author can be just the size of like a smartwatch, as this piece puts it. But and it's not even like a cheap piece to get, according to what this piece calls for, as the accessory only costs about $10 to $50. So that's like a dinner for like two people. So that's not even that much. But they're also again highly illegal, these devices. So they're not exactly you're not exactly gonna find them at like your local Best Buy and Walmart and such.
Yeah, I mean,
But
if they're already trying to steal your car, then I mean, they're probably not worried about buying a device that's illegal. But yeah, so just
yeah,
assume that anyone that's up to no good probably has these kinds of devices.
that's why it's important to just keep everyone informed, to just make sure all your devices are well, we encourage hardwiring for security devices, even though such announcements, such as the recent Apple conference, had the Apple 14 phone, which said, "Oh, we're uh, not sidebar a lot, but they had eSIM cards instead of SIM cards." So that's another move for away from the physical
What was your thoughts on that?
media.
I know we're kind of getting off topic here. What was your thought on the eSIM cards?
Um, I get why they're switching it because everyone wants to go wireless and then the cloud and metaverse and all that jazz, but because before they would put a physical SIM card and an eSIM card in like one little sleeve drawer that your phone comes in. It's like a click thing that like the guy in the wireless store that gets paid too little has to open for you whenever you change phones. But I wonder how this will shape things because I've heard many YouTube channels I watch go like, it's gonna change the industry because are people gonna settle back off this and switch like Apple's doing right now and switch
Does
to
this
just eSIM
does
cards?
this turn you off to? I mean, I know a lot of people already turned off to Apple. Um, did we cover um, last week where they received a fine of like $2 million from, I think it was some country was suing them because they stopped including chargers in their packages for their phones.
Yeah, I was in.
It was it
I
their phones or
think it
it
was
was some kind of device. I forget if it was their phones or not, but they stopped including chargers in the box. So they were
It
fined
was
or
in
something. I'm
Brazil.
like, well, you should probably fine them more than $2 million. It's kind of a joke to them.
Well, it's like finding me 25 cents.
Yeah.
So it's like we'll make that up in like 2 days.
Yeah.
We just
So
had a conference. Buy an Apple iPhone 14, everybody. Ha ha ha.
so
But
that turned me off to the company initially, and then I would say that this kind of like it feels like a one step forward, two steps back to me. Because for
like eight
people that
steps back.
for people that travel a lot, you're stuck to two SIM cards. So if you have to get a SIM card from another country, you
Yeah,
have to unalign to one of them, or you have to remove one of them because you only got two slots, right? And then you have to add another one in. And then if you want to go back to that country, you have to remove the one you added. And it's just a big hassle. Technology is
yeah,
supposed to make things easier, not harder.
yeah.
So
Not
like
much to video about that.
that whole
Where it's
that whole crowd that's traveling and or anyone that wants to travel, they kind of like turned off just right there.
I heard it gets complicated once you go to like the eastern part of the world as well, because they're still like feeling the effects of the current state of things. So supply chain issues, which some people think is like doubting that, but they're still happening. Supply chain issues with recently. Uh, no, I'll not talk about it. But
Yeah, let's not go into
like
this too deep because we could talk about this all day. We can make a whole
maybe we'll
episode on
cover
it.
it in the October episode. But our next piece is on it's on Vice.com. So apologies if you're not a fan of Vox Media, but this is a Vice story. Uh, they used to be popular back in like the 90s when they did like good hit pieces on such ideas, but they have little gems like this that pop up that are just short and to the point as their cable channel kind of loses subscribers and viewership. But yeah, this is connected to cameras though still, so that's why I found this. At where Seattle workers won essentially a battle with Homegrown, which is a sandwich delivery company, to put AI controlled cameras in the cars.
I think this is a big win. Um, I understand that this is not really this is not really a security thing. At least it doesn't feel like it. It feels like they're checking in on their drivers. Um, if you don't trust your drivers, fire those drivers and get new ones, right? Like it seems like they don't trust their drivers, and it just makes everyone uncomfortable when you're like, have you ever felt like you're being watched? Like it's not a comfortable feeling. You want your workers to feel comfortable, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Because I mean, I think Homegrown's not the only company that's felt this sort of drive where it's like put a camera in your car, it will track your performance, and definitely nothing else. Like I really don't like, never liked being watched, even when I was just like a yuck before grade school. But especially like when you're driving and your work is driving, and especially like when you're like handling product while driving.
Yeah. Well, how does
I
this
can see the push off from that, but
one thing I think about when I saw the story is how does this affect the drivers psychologically? Like what if they are actually good drivers and they think they've been doing good this whole time and they're like, oh, we're gonna put a camera in your car, and you're like, why am I doing bad? But you're actually doing really good with it. You're like, oh, it's just standard now. Um, do you believe them? Is this like, oh wait, maybe I was doing bad? Like this could, oh my gosh, rabbit hole, right? Like I feel like this is just like I don't think enough research has been done into this to be like, hey, does this affect your employees negatively? Like, do they? I mean, I know for me it would. Like, even though I always give it my all, it's still like it's in the back of your mind. You're like, what? Why do I have a camera in my car? And like from the story, it looks like I think they said it's facing the driver, right? They're literally looking at the driver. It's not like they're like
Yeah.
watching the road, watching other drivers, making sure you're taking the fastest route or something. It's literally it's looking at them, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. It's a usability problem as well as it was other like related stories show that similar cameras installed to monitor Amazon drivers were punishing workers for mistakes they didn't make. So even if you would opt for this, at least make the technology work where you're getting the data that you want. If you're fully able to say yes, let's track my stuff, because I get Amazon's pull to track stuff because I'm not one to say how much product they have to deliver in a day offhand. It must be at least more than like a box or two, like just in one street alone. So I get like the push of that, but in that perspective, but as someone that likes privacy, I'm kind of glad that the Unite Here union won this fight for that much, even though like there's been kind of pushback on just the term union in general. But
Yeah. What happened to
in this case,
unions were a good thing. They're bad for like if they're trying to like whittle money out of like unfairly away from businesses, but like unions are supposed to protect the employers. And it feels like there's less and less unions out there nowadays protecting or not protecting, whereas they're supposed to protect the employees and just have fair working conditions. Like how far have we fallen that we don't want fair working conditions for our coworkers and ourselves?
yeah, it's a weird disconnect where uh with what we learned in school, like the Industrial Revolution and such, where we got all these people, but we also shoved them in like bunkhouses for like 8 people, but we shoved like 30 people in there back in like the early what was it, 1900s, late 1800s ish. We still had those bunkhouses where you have like people trying to trample over people that just work in a factory for like $3 a day, and I still see fights for it. Like I think two Amazon unions won their fight just back in August. So I'm not putting my stance on it, but I am a proponent of privacy. So as the president of the Unite Here union puts it, Anita, no workers should be subjected to this kind of invasive, constant surveillance. This historic victory shows that workers acting collectively can protect their rights to privacy and respect. As a There's a follow-up post connecting this piece to The Guardian, which also notes how UPS also has driver-facing cameras in their vehicles as well, with about the same sentiment towards that initiative as well. So, yeah, even the ads where Progressive says like, "Oh, get Snapchat from Progressive." I'm not comfortable with that. It's like a little like box clip that you put on your vent in your car, it takes pictures of you, or like records data of like when you're driving, you know.
See, I'm okay with like having a little box that just like maybe it just checks like your speed and your acceleration because you don't want people out there driving around super fast and putting everybody else in danger. You should reward people for driving safely. Um, the
Mhm.
whole camera thing kind of like pushes it too far, though.
Yeah, when it's an actual front-facing, like, selfie camera, like, for, like, an entire day for a Amazon driver, for instance, that's,
Well,
like, what,
Amazon
like, an
drivers are
8 to
already
10-hour
treated
shift?
poorly. They're already
Yeah,
worked to death. Like,
they're already,
like I think
covered.
everybody that worked Amazon please take it easy. You've already probably lost a couple years of your life working there.
Yeah, and I forget who runs Amazon now because Bezos technically doesn't at that sort of helm, but he's still part of the company. But I forget the guy that replaced him. But the poll for just general better conditions is always still important, as both of us here are workers in the tech field, and work is appreciated when it's appreciated, and we expect the best appreciation back. And we don't get the same appreciation and respect back, then stuff like this will be fought, like in Seattle. And this is coming from someone that, ironically, doesn't like the Northwest region of the country in terms of weather and the current state that it is right now. But they'll sort themselves out over time. But this is a small victory, and I think many different company issues from the likes of, again, UPS, Amazon, probably FedEx. I don't think has anyone sued Progressive. Do you know, Mike, about like the snapshot?
Not that I know of. Um, I think there are other companies that do stuff like that. I know I had one of those for because the snapshot is just a put something that goes in your car to check, and it checks your acceleration, your speed and stuff like that, right? Um, so I had one of those when I had Progressive, but I was not a big. And it's not that I wasn't a big fan of it. I just, um, for example, like how do they know if you like let's say it's a shared car, um,
Here's one that was dismissed back in November of 2020.
mhm. So
It was
I think it
dismissed with
needs to
prejudice.
be watched carefully because I'm all for encouraging safe drivers, but I don't want this to get too far uh to where like punishing drivers. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think
because
we want to just stick with the give people discounts for driving safely.
yeah, like Allstate does that, I
I
think.
think I have State Farm right now, and State Farm has a little device as well. It goes on your it goes like I think that's on your like behind your rear view mirror or something. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so
The Snapchat's right on your car vent.
yeah, they're all catching on. Doing this, I think it just encourages drivers to drive safely, which is good. But I think we should definitely keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't lean too much towards hey, let's charge them more money because they're driving poorly or um some kind of like negative effects, you know?
Like, sometimes you're just gonna make the vehicle safer also, like, that could be possible, so
No?
let's make the vehicle
Yeah,
safer.
definitely something to look into. But I think that's all the time we got for today, Greg. Unless you have something else you want to, another topic you want to bring up.
Uh, well, I'll just point out that the Vice piece is on Vice.com, and it's written by Joseph Cox. And if you want to take a look at it, it's by Joseph Cox, Cox. Get your head. Yes, it's on the Vice.com website. But
Yeah, and don't forget to
thank you
check
all
us out
again
on
for.
Patreon, guys.
Yeah, so we'll put a link to our Patreon that we just created during the offshoot hours while we were doing research for this podcast episode right here. We'll put a link to the Patreon if you want to help us and support us, just put out the best content possible in terms of tech news that the world is aloof to, and that we want to put out for you people, be it in your car, at home, on the go, where have you. We'll be there and put out the best content for you. Even if you want to request something, you can even do that as part of one of the tiers on Patreon as well. So be on the lookout for that link wherever we put this on SoundCloud, YouTube, or Buzzsprout. Thank you again all for listening to us today. And
Stay
as
vigilant.
always, stay vigilant and stay vigilant. Bye.
Peace.